Alright, there we go. We are live. Hello, hello. Alright, so this is my stream to celebrate 7 years of my webcomic. I'm going to be working on this piece. By inking it, maybe coloring it. We'll see how far I get. My webcomic, if you are new, if you're not aware, is called Radio Silence. It is a queer coming of age tale about a British rock band's rise to fame and all the drama that goes into that, all of the closeness that happens. There's a bit of romance, there's a bit of drama, there's a bit of everything. Music, obviously. Incorporate that part of it. And yeah, this is the main cast. Be 7 years next week, which is crazy. Is on a mini hiatus right now because I'm trying to work on comic pitches, but we will be back in full pretty soon. At least I'm hoping. Yes, absolutely. Everyone should give it a reread for its anniversary next week. I decided to do some sort of like sparklers and maybe fireworks in the background. I'm not doing those effects on. I'm not figuring that stuff out right here, but I'll be inking. Just always so relaxing. I have to keep remembering to look over at the screen, making sure that everything's working. I get so zoned in with my Cintiq in the screen that I forget I'm not actually looking at anything on the other side. Let's see. Should I use my regular brush? Probably. Make it look like everything else in the comic. We'll go with him first. So we've got Brent, the bassist. Let's see. Alright, I should probably do the request first. I got one coffee request. Get the jitters out with that. Let's get some scribbles. It was a cat in a really big hat, so I gotta remember how to draw cats and then put a really big hat on it. What kind of hat? Let's see. Big floppy summer hat, probably. I am not an animal artist, but let's put the giant hat. And then have little holes. Classic. So posh. tempted to just be like, lucky. I don't know. They know what they've done. That's fine, stranger. I'm happy to see that you're here. I know it's a kind of awkward hour. I decided to, like, try to make a best of both worlds because I had a bunch of people from Europe asking, and I needed to spend enough time doing this sketch today. I put a poll up, like a ding dong, like, and saw the results today that confirmed that I should be working on my Radio Silence artwork. There we go. Beautiful. Wonderful. Beautiful hat. Not drawn an animal in forever, so we'll just leave that hidden in case there's more that come through. You can request I draw something if you drop something into coffee. Just let me know you did it because I'm not looking over there right now, but would be very helpful. To be let know. I sure did some wonky ass angle for his arm, but oh well. You'll see it fixed for Tuesday. For now, I'm just going with what I have. Hope everyone's doing alright. It is very warm out, as we all are aware. I had to turn my fan off because although Discord filters it out wonderfully, every other program does not know how to do that. I have to hope that I remember to put it back on afterwards. I did actually get the music working very, very softly. I have no idea if it's going to flag me because I was supposed to do something to initiate it on actual Streamlabs, but womp womp. It's their copyright-free stuff anyway, that's why it's generic beats to draw to, I suppose. Oh, I haven't drawn these guys in forever. I'm so excited. I also haven't used this brush in forever. I forgot how unforgiving it is. can't turn my fan on. It is so loud. The mic just keeps like lighting up. It's fine. I have air conditioning unlike some parts of the world. It's just that it doesn't go on very often. I also have like extreme heat intolerance, so I think 18 is like the high, like it's 18 Celsius is the high amount that I usually have and be able to tolerate down here, so room temperature is relative. But come on, how big is butt? There we go. I absolutely cannot wait until I can just open up the window again and not roast. Actually cool this place off. I am one of those deranged people who has the window open all winter. There is nothing like waking up to snow collecting on your face, blowing in from the window. Remember how to draw details again. The pitches that I've been doing have been so simplified with amount of detailing, which is actually a lot more difficult sometimes. You're trying to convey so much with so little. So I had a really hard time with that. I'd rather just include like a whole bunch of lines like these and just hope that it looks right, rather than rely on the one line. If that one line's wrong, boy is it obvious. Hello, welcome. I am drawing the Radio Silence anniversary pic, currently on Brent for it. Yeah, I am 100% all for autumn and winter. I do not do well in other seasons, so. Oh man, I learned the word for this today, but I cannot remember it. So actually, did I learn it? I don't know. But I know that there is a word that is the opposite of hibernating, which means when the heat comes that you go into stasis or sleep. And I'm like, yes, that's what I would like. Wake me up when September ends, but you know, when the when the seasons change. I want to do the shoelace trick. I like this one. 4 maybe. taking a break from doing art fight stuff to do this radio silence stream. That and the comic pitch that I've been working on. Anybody here doing art fight? You want to get anything fun from art fight too? I've been getting some amazing artwork from that. Did I do enough? Yeah, I did. I'm always like incredibly humbled every time someone draws my character. Yeah, estivate. That's what, something like that. I don't remember how to pronounce it, but I read a thing that was saying that you shouldn't make fun of people who pronounce words improperly because they've only read the words, because it is. I mean, this is a pretty joking way to put it, but like, it's kind of like having an accent from reading. It's a literacy accent, and it really is not anything against the person for trying. I mean, they tried, and they're educating themselves enough to learn new words. And I say that as somebody who, I think I was like 11 or 12 when I read the His Dark Materials series. And the second book is called The Subtle Knife, only I've never come across the word subtle before, and especially since it has a like silent letters inside of it, so I was like, it's the subtile knife. Yeah, that book that I'm reading. Completely flew over my head what subtle means, which I guess is kind of ironic in itself. Drawing shoes can be such a pain. When they turn out, but yep. It's one of those things for sure that it should be endearing. It should definitely be something that's an endearing quality. I say, advocating for it myself. I also have no idea how to read those phonetic letterings that when you look things up, it's like, how to pronounce. I'm like, awesome. How do you pronounce these pronounceable things that you're supposed to be able to pronounce? When was I supposed to learn how to pronounce your weird pronouncing guide? Let's do it again. When I would work in the studio back in college, you would just see a bunch of people undoing like this, trying to get the perfect line. Absolutely funny to watch. How many people give up, pull out like the pen tool or something to get that curve going, or they'll very stubbornly sit there for ages. Welcome. Welcome, Nova. I am drawing the Radio Silence anniversary art. I gave this spiel earlier, but I might as well just keep repeating it. That it's the 7th anniversary next week. Very exciting. Can't believe it's been 7 years, but I can at the same time. I feel like I've drawn it for 7 years, definitely. Probably another 7 more before I finish the actual story, but that's my fault for picking an ambitious enough story. There you go. And if you've never read Radio Silence, which you should definitely check it out. It is a queer coming of age comic about a British rock band's rise to fame. Yes, I have the pitch down because going to conventions and people asking, what is your comic about? You have to know the quickest way to sell them on it and just summarize it down. Get your elevator pitch going. Oh, let's see. When I started drawing the comic, I definitely had, if you'll see here, you'll see my like reference sheet that I have for each character. Which I definitely have to update because this art now doesn't look like what I draw. It's a couple of years old. But I would have it out open religiously to learn my own art and learn from my own art. How did I draw this? And now, I mean, I have to hope so after 7 years, but now I can draw them pretty much from memory. I always thought that was really strange that people were able to do that. Now I'm like, it's just absolute repetition. Like everything else, learning how to do something, you just do it a billion times. It's also one of the difficult things about working on these new projects is learning all the shorthands, redesigning, which is difficult. Designing is so difficult. Coming up with something unique, iconic, redrawable over and over again, which I would say, where is he? All the way over here. Doing full half sleeve tattoos for a character. Not advisable, but I knew that going in. I've absolutely mastered having to draw in shorthand the Celtic knot because I just have done it so many times on his arms, on Colby's arms. Oh, I should probably figure this out. Just make sure that it's going to be even. I'm gonna do all the effects later. I've made this ambitious, but you know, what kind of anniversary pick would it be if it wasn't ambitious? Brent has such an interesting design to work on. He's not as expressive as everybody else, with his facial features and such. So even this looks like static compared to how he usually is drawn. Whereas I can go absolutely like wild with Ren, and it doesn't look off at all. Brent, when I draw him with like a really exaggerated expression, it just looks wrong. Far too mellow for that. Welcome. Thanks for tuning in. I am just drawing the anniversary pic. The first character here, Brent. There's gonna be like fireworks going off in the back. There's gonna be some crazy backlighting. Probably lose all the details because of it. Great. Fantastic. I love doing work that you never see. That's why I love doing these backgrounds. Let me just show you some pages since I have a bunch of my own art here for reference, but as that happens, here's one. Some of you Brits might know this location. And then a whole bunch of it just gets covered up, obviously. But it's there, and it makes the scene, and it makes it feel lived in. Oh yeah, these were some crazy ones too. Took me a while to figure out the perspective and that stuff. This one. Again, you can go look at it yourself on the website. Go down there at the bottom. Be a great anniversary pick. No, not pick. Gift. Great gift to me from you to read the comic. Even better to leave some comments through your reread, because that would be fantastic. I eat up those comments. I love theories, and I've sat on the entirety of the comics secrets for 7 years already, so anytime anyone feeds me theories or crackpot theory kind of things, especially, or like their ships, or like even their opinions on Sammy, because I just love hearing people dunk on Sammy or Tom, because that delights me. Or, Colby's dad, which is the latest roadblock to their happiness. Not a new one, though, for Colby and Matt. But, new to the audience. It's one of those things as well that the longer it takes me to finish the current arc, which is set in 2018, the further and further in the past it goes. On the plus side, the entirety of the story should be finished before 2020, which means I don't have to make any adjustments in order to keep them performing live in person. You know, even in a fake world, you want some of the, uh, you know, facts to remain similar to the real world. I am not ever going to do anything relating to the pandemic in my comic, and then I don't have to because it will be finished before any date that would even require that. They will live in some wonderful bubble. Exactly. This is modern fantasy, urban fantasy, I suppose. Classifying things with, book genres and such. Always so difficult, in my opinion. It feels so limiting to just throw a term at something and shove it in a drawer of that is that. Unless it is aiming to be that. Yes, they defeated it with the power of love and bandship. Friendship and the power of being in a band. Music defeated the evil. Alright, Brent. You're good. I'll leave you there. Actually, just merge your shoelaces down into a U. And do... I love this. Ghost. Take all the white out. Yeah! So now the shoelaces are transparent and I can color it later. I love filters for that. Yes. With the power of rock, they single-handedly... This is how the original story is supposed to go the entire time. I'm prescient, and I knew back 7 years ago. So, fun fact, since she's in the chat right now. This is not my character originally. I wrote this story with my friend, Nova, who is in the chat. And we threw these ideas back and forth. She threw her characters in, obviously I threw mine in. So, although I obviously draw him a ton, Shy is not really mine. The whole comic is just a love letter to this AU that she and I came up with. What if they were in a rock band? 7 years later, yes, I own him via, marriage? Comic marriage? And get him on Tuesdays. Uh-huh. He wouldn't exist without you, and therefore he is yours. So small. I didn't originally draw those two together. I originally had, I had Colby over here and Shy was here where Ren is, and Ren was moved over. But then it looked like a height progression, and I was like, oh, it's not really pulling the eye in properly, so obviously this works way better. But there's another fun fact. If you have read the comic, you would know that Matt has a thing for symmetry, and on the stage, that's what he encourages as well. He's got Colby and Brent, who are similar heights. I think Brent is about 3 inches taller than Colby is, but he puts them on the opposite sides. He's in the middle. He's got Shy on the one side, and then the drums, if possible, off to the side, opposite of Shy. Doesn't happen very often because a lot of the times, especially with the arc that they're doing right now, they share the stage, right? So they're not going to be able to rearrange it as desired. So even her Cintiq is older than mine, and therefore seniority. So that is why I only get him 2 times a month. The rest of the time, he lives rent-free in her brain. Wow, that was creepy. Sound like laughing. Thank you, Beats to Draw to, for creeping me out. I'm all alone and hear some laughing. I do not want. Yeah, Shy is 5'6", I believe, and Brent is 6'5", 6'5", I think. So a full ass, almost foot over. But also, fun fact is that Ren and Shy are the same height. I'm just full of fun facts. You know, about my own stuff. Forgot about the zipper. I think I'm one of the only people who actually uses the eraser part of the Cintiq pen. Actually turns it over like I'm using a pencil. So if you hear a little clicking, that is what that is. Me twirling it in my hand. There's something about rough lines that you never are able to capture when you're doing the ink to like the energy, everything just kind of flows back out of it. Like you've washed it down the drain. Like obviously you try and you try to maintain whatever energy you had, but there is far too many details. So I set it in the UK because it was also a merger of my like a celebration of my family's history. I have family who lives there. What you will find out soon, actually, because the plot is coming up very soon. Brent's family is all named after women, like his sisters, his five sisters are all named after, and kind of based after my family who live there. His home that he lives in is also based on my grandfather's home. So I have like photos and such. It's just a little like personal Easter egg of sorts. There's also a better, in I would say it's in my opinion, but it's also things I've read articles on. Better live music scene in the UK, especially like Glastonbury and stuff like that. But like it it is still something where all those like small gigs will still happen on the regular and still be um, something that's celebrated in that way. So it fit from multiple aspects. And if I was going to be drawing a whole bunch of backgrounds, I wanted to do some interesting ones and not just genericville USA. So I am also not from the US. And in Canada, we have, when anyone comes that is big enough to perform, on an international stage, they go to Toronto and they go to Vancouver, and they basically make no other stops. It wouldn't be very exciting. It would be very long for them to travel. There's another thing that at least in the UK, you guys can travel a short distance and get somewhere in a reasonable amount of time as well. There was going to be like and I've since shopped it because it's going to be far too long of a comic if I try to do a whole US tour. But the cultural differences there would have been a thing to delve into, and the travel time, which is a huge difference. But they also couldn't take their bus with them, so that would be sad since I have an actual 3D model that I commissioned of the bus that I use for reference. Yeah, I'm sure there's a couple of places that they'll stop in, and it's only like the major hubs in Canada here, but we're so spread out. And if they're local and if they're making it a whole Canada thing, then they will go to a bunch of like small places and such. But I don't know. I want to do something different. I had also just come back from a month-long trip I had a billion pictures. And had a great time visiting family and going on a big tour, a whirlwind tour. So I think I was just pumped. I was just like, you know what? We're doing this. I will do it live. Okay. While I was there, I met this busking band called Key West, and have since done pretty well for themselves, I think, since then. But at that point, they were selling CDs, and doing little sets here and there. So I sat around, listened to that, bought some CDs. It also helped influence my decision. So I was like, you know what? There's some energy here. And remains a dream of mine to go, probably when the comic is like wrapped, just so I can get the maximum value out of it. But go and take pictures and do one of those like side by side things where you can overlap the drawing with the. It's usually a photograph, but you overlap a drawing with the real life feature. I could always ask, people who actually live there to do that, but maybe by then the world won't be falling apart. Ha 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 ha. And I'll be able to visit. I don't know why I decided to make such a difficult angle for myself, but it is what it is, I suppose. We're coming up on the hour mark. Anyone have any questions or requests or comments? We'll open it up to the board. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep pulling some random stuff out to talk about, but let's get this. Also, if anyone's doing Art Fight, you should totally let me know. I'm still collecting victims. Got a few revenges to do, but I know I keep jumping around, but it's just like whatever calls out at me to draw. That's how I am with most of my projects. I will trick myself into working on the other ones, because when I stop working on one, it's just like, yeah, I'm not working anymore. I am working on this one. And then I hear myself talk, and I'm like, right. Always have several projects going at once in order to trick yourself. Doing more work. Shy. Oh man, he has torn his pants. I like to compare the fashions of all of the members of the band. I don't think any of them kind of fit in the same category. Matt's way too put together for this bunch. Brent has a bit of a sports integrated vibe. Colby's got all those hats, and he's always got a V-neck kind of thing going. Ren's got like a bit of a grunge look, lots of plaid. Shy will take risks with fashion, but he needs to feel more comfortable about himself before he does that. So for now, it's a lot of sweaters. Who knows, maybe he'll wear Ren's shoes like she dared him to. Wouldn't that be a treat? They do have the same size shoe as well. Wrinkles, wrinkles. Perspective. Yeah, absolutely. I open up another project, it will definitely be something that is unrelated. Like I have got my NPC art pack that I'm working on that is for D&D. It's for DMs to buy and use for tokens. Help a little bit, pretty much like, water in an ocean, a cup of water in the ocean. But the amount of art theft that goes on with that kind of thing is really distressing for a lot of people, because their D&D characters will get stolen and used in streams and used for people's references for their commissions, and people who are commissioned get upset because it's like, I didn't know this wasn't their original character, etc., etc. So if I make things that are specifically made to be used like that, I'm helping out, And I have a regular pack out already for that. The one I'm working on is the villains pack. They're meant to be villains, but hey, you can rehab your evil NPCs. Your players certainly will try. You know, if they're not like murder hobos. But there's always a chance. There's even NPCs you aren't expecting them to like or latch onto. That happens. And being a DM myself, it is fun to go back to a project like Radio Silence where I'm in 100% control of everything that every character does, because sometimes you just want things to go the way that you had planned them to go. Isn't that nice sometimes? No guessing. It's only guessing when you're trying to come up with the plot lines. Wow, Tiefling. Is there something you want to talk about? Is there perhaps a Felix that you want to talk about? Not at all. It sounds like you're doing great. It sounds like your players are behaving perfectly. You should definitely be nice to them. I really don't think that they were the one who was bullied, actually. I think they went up to PC and started to grill them about lying and then insulted them and made them cry. I mean, it doesn't sound like they're being bullied. It sounds like they're being the bully. There were only so many poses I could do with these hands for this stuff. Shy. I have to remember how to draw this shoe. Okay, yeah, there's a mark. And then shoelace cheat that. ghost, and then it vanishes. I stole that that filter. It's available on the internet, but I found the filter and out about it in the college and took it off of their computers and have since stuck it on mine. Cannot live without it. She's not a red flag. My character is is very innocent. She should be trusted with everything. Someone comes up to you and starts like grilling you and tricking you and like entrapping you. That seemed like the red flag. If anyone's just joining us, I should do my spiel again. This is for the 7th anniversary of Radio Silence, which is my webcomic. You can read it. The link is down below. And it is a queer coming of age drama romance about a British rock band's rise to fame. All the drama therein is now entering its 7th year, which is crazy. So this is the art that is going to be for next week. You're getting a preview of it now. I'm sure it will look more impressive once it has all of the effects that, I have to make and I have to do. I'll have to figure that out. I'm sure there are tutorials online on how to very easily do fireworks, but that'll be for another time. Matt. I have playlists that I've set aside that have like the Radio Silence sound if ever I get to successfully commission a song. I once spent quite a bit of money, $250 or something like that, for a song, and it was not usable whatsoever. They ended up covering one of the songs that I used or was showing them as an example of what I would want, but miscommunication, super fun. But yeah, I have playlists with Matt's singing voice, what I imagine it to sound like. It's one of those things that I think that is very interesting. A bunch of the examples that I have set aside, that this singing voice retains the accent. I think more people should do that. It should just sound like how you talk. Obviously, it's singing, but don't be ashamed of how you sound. Makes it way better, more unique. I know they're trying to appeal to a global market, but yeah, definitely. I know you've had some bad commission experiences as well. I can commiserate. I can never actually use the thing that they did for me because it's just a cover. But I was hoping for a lot more. Sorry, I was hoping for some more music that I could actually use, like get my brother to transcribe into, written, so that I could use it actually visually in the comic. Cannot do that with copyrighted music. Thank you, sir, for making that for me. But absolutely useless. It was also a Kickstarter reward, so I waited super long for it. And it didn't sound anything like what I had pictured anyway, so disappointing all around. Let's see. Of course, he's got fashionable boots. Extremely funny to me when he shows up and he's just like, what do you mean? I'm dressed down. And he's still got like a button up and expensive shoes and such. He's not even the rich boy, but he wants to look good. He wants to present an image. He's the front man after all. Is he living above his means? Maybe. Is Colby doing that now? Maybe. Because I'm awful. Because there are consequences to actions. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting journey. Once they come off of this tour, which the only reason why they've had the crowds so big and opportunities so big so early in their career was because they were brought in on a tour. Obviously, it's based on Warped Tour, but the Twisted Tour, which obviously brought them opportunities they wouldn't have had otherwise. So it's going to be a little bit of a shock when they go back to playing smaller shows. Me drawing smaller crowds, not going to be disappointed. But they sure will. Do some shoelaces. I'll do this close up this time so you guys can see the difference. Filter. Bam. I know it's such a tiny thing for me to be excited about, but how could I show this? I have an action up here that will autofill. That also makes me really excited. I'm gonna just do that for Brent. Bam! I have to pull it underneath, but there we go. Saves a bunch of time. Just turn that off right now. I've been doing arm hair like this for a while, but back when I started doing it 10 years ago or something, I would almost exclusively do it with one character of mine that had red hair. And people were always like worried, like, what are all those marks on his arms? Is he bleeding? No, no. No, that's just hair. What a weird statement out of context. Are you bleeding? No, that's just hair. Fantastic. Quotable. I love doing anything where he has his collar open. He's got little curlies on his chest. It's a shame too that I've cut out that storyline with the U.S., but there was that the Easter egg with the Agents of the Realm, which is another webcomic. I don't know if it'll ever be picked up or finished, but so that's partly why. Like she wrote out the part that would have been where Radio Silence fit in for our crossover. So there's no point in me dragging them all and doing a whole arc of them over there. It would have been fun. But eventually I have to go on other projects, you know, in another 7 years. Maybe Nova and I will come up with something else. Another AU with the same characters, because that would be pretty funny. But who also knows what the state of webcomics will be in that amount of time. It's already kind of like an old thing to do a long form webcomic, as most things are short, precise to the point, square, packageable for Instagram and Twitter, and the punchline is right there. I am not good at doing punchline related comics, so that would never be my jam, but I also can't do short comics either. Which sucks, because wouldn't that be great if I could get more material, but I do have a bunch of ideas for Radio Silence shorts. That's different because I have the established characters and it doesn't require me to actually do any setup for characterization and the like, but So I can treat it differently in my brain in order to write those. But it's when I have to like come up with an entire new cast and also make you care about them in like 10 pages or something. How? Those people are managed to do that. Wizards, all of them. It's all witchcraft. It's all long form for me. I think I will close out at the end of the hour. So if anyone wants to ask any questions or has anything to say, let me know now in the comments, the chat. As I said before, it would be fantastic if you went and reread or read, if you're new to it, my webcomic. Leave some comments. Great to go through those, especially if there's new ones, for me to get a deeper appreciation for going back into it off of the hiatus that it's been on while I work on graphic novel pitches. Exactly. And I would never share spoilers here anyway. But well, this is always a fun one to bring up. But like people ask, are there cutouts in Matt's eyebrows? I'm like, oh no, stylistically, what I do is like this, but I'm really just indicating that there are hairs there, because for example, for Colby here, I will do his eyebrow like this, and then draw the lines into it. So it's really just the inverse. Just that his eyebrows are dark. So there we go. I have to keep tracking back to make sure I'm doing the same line weight for all of these. So I would hate to do all that, zoom out and realize it was so much thicker than the line. And the hierarchy of things difficult to draw are like horses and hands all the way up there and everything else underneath. I need someone who, I guess, wasn't aware that horses are so difficult to not only draw but animate. And when we were because I went to school for animation, when I was doing my film and they were doing theirs heavily featured not only horses but astrological, like constellation horses, animated, and they were struggling so hard. And everyone's like, I thought you were just trying to like show off your skill because everyone knows that how difficult horses are to draw. And they're like, no, I just made a mistake. I'm like, yep, you did. You dug yourself this hole. Which is how I feel sometimes when I make such detailed backgrounds and then have to maintain that quality. Of course, one of the fun aspects of webcomics is that you see the style change and evolve through reading it, which is something you can find out by rereading my comic. Yes, I will keep doing that. And it, you can see the person actually, like, their skill, like, leveling up. But it's one of those things where, again, doing something over and over and over again, thousands of times, putting in all of those hours, you're going to get better, and it's going to change how things look. And it's just one of those things. Doesn't mean it's any better or worse for how different it looks. I wish I could go back to drawing as simply as I did, but I like how it looks right now, and I like spending the time with these characters, drawing them the way that I do. So yeah, exactly. Alright. Well, we got 3 of the characters inked together in an hour and a half, which is pretty good speed. I am getting hungry, and so I'm going to go ahead and have some dinner. But thank you for joining me, all of you, and for celebrating Radio Science's 7th anniversary with me. Keep me company on this evening, this Friday evening. Hope you all have a great one. Thanks for coming out.